Hey everybody, welcome to the Rhizocast. We're going to be going over New Mutants issue 73. So this is part of Marvel's big event at that time, which was called Inferno. It was a thing where one of the Hell dimensions in Marvel Comics was invading the mainstream Marvel universe, which of course means predominantly New York. And this issue is about Ilyana, who we also know as Magic. Colossus is her brother, if you didn't already know that. And on the cover here, we have him carrying what appears to be her mutated corpse. So, about a year from this issue is when Rob Liefeld is going to be coming on to New Mutants and restructuring it and taking it over. But I really liked New Mutants around this era, but will point out a couple of problems I was having with it that got worse as over the next year or so. I meant to look it up. So this demon's name is Sim, and I believe that he is named after Dave Sim as a joke. Him and Chris Claremont were friends. And it's interesting that he'd be named after Dave Sim as a joke, but then they're doing some things that seem to be referencing Jack Kirby as a joke with his design style. Instead of doing something that would make fun of Dave Sim or whatever as an inside joke. Ad for the Turtles video game here. I'm not sure. Let's see what year this is. This is 1989, so I think that the first iteration of the cartoon is already out in 1989, I think. Anyway, this is one of the demons from hell. This is Ilyana in her full demon child armor form. This guy, so as I said, the version of hell that's referred to as limbo, that's the dimension that. So her backstory, she's a 4-year-old. When she's a 4-year-old, she gets kidnapped into the hell dimension. In our time, she's there 4 hours. In their time, in her time, it's like a dozen years. And she comes out and she has some demon powers and an inner demon trying to take over. So this guy's claiming that he took over hell and she became the ruler of hell during her time there. This guy's claiming that he's come to take over hell in her absence and he wants her sword and her powers. And fun action, good panel design. The writing is solid. It's let's go over the creative team real quick. Sorry. Louise Simonson, who is a great writer, of course. And then I'm not really familiar with Brett Blevin as the penciler. Al Williamson as an inker, and he's known. Anyway, moving forward. Nice action sequence and him yelling about why he wants to take over and her telling him he doesn't even know what he's talking about, that the guy that he claims to have taken hell over from, that guy isn't dead, he's still alive, and he just sent him to fight her so that she could kill him for him. And then we pan out, like I said, this is the middle of or towards the end of a massive crossover event. So this is some of the team that was injured previously, and they're just hanging out in an old church because they're not up to going back into battle, which is something you don't really see in comics, like some people actually getting injured and holding out a little or whatever. This Warlock character, he's totally an insane character design with mutations. He can turn into whatever. But this is, to me, indicative of the problem that New Mutants got, which there's getting to be way too many characters. It's like, okay, Skids, what character is that? Like, there's like the maybe 6 to 8 core members that I remember, but then there's these other people that are just like, how many people did they need to have in there? You know, this panel's great. This looks like a panel from Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol or something. That it's because the Hell Dimension is taking over this parts of the city. And then we have Colossus appears, and he's trying to find his sister. Like, he's trying to find what's going on and find his sister. This is interesting. Man. Blah, blah, blah. This seems like it's a 4-track being advertised in a comic. I'm shocked. I need to look into this and find out what happened with this and what its price point was, because I would think with what it's looking like, this looks like it would be a $100 device at a time when a 4-track was normally, probably $400 or $500. So that's kind of cool. I'd be interested in finding out about that. So he has picture. This is just him find some minor league demons. He's asking them to help find his sister, going over the story that she disappeared when she was 4, blah, blah, blah. Time passes differently. Game Boy was big. So at this time, Magneto is the headmaster instead of Professor X for the New Mutants. And there were a few years during this era, part of the aftermath of Secret Wars is Magneto is semi a hero, but the whole time you're waiting for the shoe to drop for him to reveal that he's really a villain. And here we are, we have a demon trying to make him a deal. I love these weird panels where people break out of the border. I mean, this is breaking a rule here too, with the word balloon for this panel is up here, but they make it work. It's like going out there in design, but they're making it all work. And this has a lot of references that they're like, see other issues. There was already one that's like see Exterminators 1 through 4. Here we have see X Factor 37, see X-Men 150. So there's a lot of references in here. And they're like trying to find out what is going on with Magneto and this demon. What are they talking about? And they're like, the demon's offering him a deal, and it seems like he's thinking about doing it. Okay, back to the battle. Colossus crashes in, and Ilyana Magic is saying that this isn't him because she knows that her brother was killed. And so the New Mutants are coming in to try and help her. And it's a whole lot of chaos. There's a lot of very Doom Patrol-y weirdness vibe in this era right here. I really like it. I understand it's not everybody's thing. Colossus is trying to save his sister here. But he thinks that he's trying to find 4-year-old Ilyana, but here she is in her semi-demon form, and he's like, and she's like, I didn't want you to know this was me. I was almost glad that you were dead so you would never see me like this. You know, the prose is a little purple in this, but it should be. You know, it's appropriate for the superhero demon story. I don't know enough about New Mutants to know how this lines up. Like, just the existence of Ilyana with Raven, and this story in particular with some of the stuff with Raven and her father and the apocalypse and all that. So maybe somebody in the comments can let us all know if this is pretty much kind of riffing on that, or if it's really doing its own thing. And he's saying he's now the demon's working on Colossus, saying that this is Colossus' fault because he abandoned her and let her think he was dead and all that. And we get into the fight again. Meanwhile, Rain is trying to convince Ilyana it doesn't have to be like this. You can change who you are. You can change how things are. There are a lot of cool splash pages. There's a lot of cool pages in this that could be anywhere. And I will say, when you have this many characters, you can't try to explain what everybody's power is. And this is post Jim Shooter era, and I wonder if Jim Shooter had stayed on, if the New Mutants would not have been allowed to expand to this big of a roster where it's impossible to keep up with things. I guess we'll never know. Okay, and they're still going on. A lot of great panels. A lot of Doctor Strange weirdness to the world here. Going through portals. So this is the limbo hell where Ilyana spent a large part of her childhood. They're going through it now, and then this is young Ilyana that they've found. They're trying to convert her, the current one, back into her. And here it is, like she's saying this is what you will become, confronting her younger self. And she's blaming her child self for letting her become a demon. And Rain is saying, no, you have a choice. You don't have to be a demon. You can change things. And she's saying there is no such thing as choice, but that she's going to make something happen. And she's essentially rewriting her own personal history and stuff. And the the child Ilyana seems to have disappeared. This demon's like, what's going on? She's closing a portal and it's sucking all these demons out. And Rain's looking at her armor. The armor's crushed. Colossus is like, I just found my sister, but what? Now she's gone already? They're all mourning. And then he hears there's something inside. Breaks it open, and it's 4-year-old Ilyana instead of the teenager that's been a member of the New Mutants. So it's like a happy ending. Then more of the story to be continued in the rest of Inferno. Anyway, I like this issue. You might be able to find it in a dollar bin. Definitely find it for under $5. It's cool. I'd suggest going ahead and checking it out. Thanks for hanging out and looking through it with me. Talk to you guys later.